I kept telling myself, we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. Like, it's going to be okay. Like, there's no way that something is going to happen. His lungs were just failing practically. And that's when it started hitting me that my dad was not okay. I would get calls from the doctor and I would have to stop. And for just a couple minutes, I would practically just have to stop being a daughter and write notes down and ask questions, then become an interpreter and interpret everything for my family. Until one night is when they called us and they said his organs were failing and they were afraid that he wouldn't make it through the night and that we only had 2 passes for 2 people to go see him before he would go. And I just looked over at my sister and it was on speaker, so she understood what was happening. And I think my mom realized from the look on our faces that something wasn't okay. I stood there and I didn't know. You don't really think about, like, who do I pick to go see him? So they called me and they said, do you want a DNR? They said, we don't know how much of him is going to come back. And I called my sister and I said, what do I do? I need you to tell me what to do because I signed up for this and I don't know what to do. And I called back and I said, okay, you can write the DNR. I remember just going to his room and getting one of his shirts from his closet and just laying in my bed and just crying. I just felt that he wasn't going to be here with us anymore. Like, I just knew, like, I'm going to lose my dad and there's no way that I'm going to get him back. They told my mom and my sister, once he goes, we're going to have you step back and we're just going to take his body. So they practically prepped him for the worst until my sister called me and they said his organs are working again. In matter of like hours, like there was just a 360. One of the nurses called me and said, he's awake. And I like ran to my mom and I said, Mom, like he's awake, he's fine and he's breathing. When we saw him, my brother just started crying and he said, that's not my dad, that's not my dad. There was just like a blank look on his face. And that's when like we realized like this isn't gonna be the same. It's not gonna be, we're not gonna go back to what we were before. And I remember just feeling so happy that he was okay and that he was gonna be okay and that it would be a hard recovery and a long recovery, but it was gonna be a recovery.
Así.
May 19th is when we brought him home. At that time, I thought like this is the worst thing that we could do. Like, we're not professionals, we're not trained, we don't know what we're doing. But that's honestly the best thing that we could have done was just bring him home. That's when we started seeing like the just turnaround of recovery. We started doing like inpatient therapy where we had a speech therapist, and we had an occupational therapist and a physical therapist and a nurse come once a week. And that's when like we started practicing how to help him eat and how to help him move.
5, 3, 4, 5.
You don't want to be here. You don't want to be in my shoes. And I think the only way that someone could understand what it feels like and what it's like to go through that is to go through it. People's recovery isn't just being in the hospital 2 weeks, being fine, and then just going back home like normal. Like, this is something that has impacted so many lives and so many people, and it's still being impacted. People are still dying. People are still recovering. Like, it's still here and it's still real. We've been in it for so long, we're tired of it. It's not an excuse to be like, oh well, it's not affecting me, so I'm fine. To see your family go through it and there's literally nothing you can do about it. I would give anything to switch my dad and me be in the bed and him sitting here. I would give literally anything to switch that, but I can't. And the only thing that I can do is wear a mask, wash my hands, like, stay at a safe distance from people. If everyone were to just like step into my shoes or anyone's shoes who have been affected by COVID, the amount of pain and the amount of suffering and the amount of hurt that you carry through the entire process, I think would hit them so hard that they would think about it 10 times more than they do now.